So cutting over to the JP version of the game, we have a very similar rate-up situation going on over there, but they're actually bringing back all of the other limited Valentine's Day servants, and one of those servants is going to be Bazett, and I'm really excited about that because I think Bazett is a really crazy servant. If you're not aware, she's going to be next year's Valentine's servant over on the NA version of the game, and she pretty much introduces the counter mechanic, I guess if you want to call it that. And she's capable of just like bursting down bosses. You can use her for farming, ironically enough. And while you might look at her quote-unquote NP damage, you gotta also consider that she can effectively fire like 3 NPs a turn because of how her counter situation is working. So this is a servant that I'm definitely going to be summoning on over on the JP version of the game. Probably expect some summoning video in like the next couple of days or something, because I actually do think she is a pretty nice servant. But before we actually start getting into that, if you have not already, make sure you leave a like on the video and you subscribe to the channel. And if you want to see me play FGO live, you can peep those links down in the description down below. One of those is going to be my Twitch, where I stream every weekday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I'll probably be doing those Bazett summons later today, as this should be going up on Monday. So if you want to see that live, make sure you peep that link down in the description down below. But let's start talking about Bazett, starting off with her hits. And Bazett's definitely got some very, very strong hits going for her. You'd kind of expect that for someone who's pretty much built entirely around doing face card damage and basically using her normal attacks as NPs. She is still considered to be a quick servant, so it's very nice that her quick cards are very strong with 6 hits apiece with 0.8% NP gain, meaning if you're getting crits on those quick cards, you're going to be refunding a lot of NP. Also keep in mind that she does have a very strong 3-hit arts card with also that same 0.8% NP gain, decent star gen at 10%, and she is backing up those quick cards with a passive 10% buff because of her riding skill. Now, because of how Bazett actually works, you might be wondering what her last passive skill does, because the wording on that might be a little bit weird for people that are uninitiated. But basically, all it's saying is that her buffs don't fall off before her NP, technically, quote-unquote NP, actually does damage, because Bazett technically does her damage at the end of the turn, where usually all of your offensive buffs would already fall off. So instead of falling off at the end of the turn, they don't. They fall off after she actually does damage because, well, otherwise she'd be really, really bad because she'd never really have any offensive buffs to do maximum damage for 3 turns. Now, Bazett's skills are pretty much all there to pretty much facilitate this style of gameplay. They're all just pretty much giving her just generic good stuff that you would want any DPS servant to have, because they're trying to set her up for the best case of success possible. So starting off with her first skill, this is just, again, giving you really, really good stuff. She's getting a 30% quick and buster buff for 3 turns. She's getting a nice 30% crit damage buff for 3 turns. And you know what? Let's give her a nice special damage mod against casters because, well, lore reasons for 3 turns as well. This does mean that Bazett as an alter ego is also really good at taking out casters specifically, so she can actually double down in being not only super effective because of her class, but she also has a nice little special damage mod against that, and anytime you get a quick or buster card, she's going to be double buffing herself against those casters, so she's really good at taking them out. Again, for lore reasons, she's going to be very good at being able to do that. Also keep in mind, just never forget about that passive skill. That quick buff is actually going to be more like a 40% quick buff because of the 10% that she's getting from her passive. But all in all, this is really just setting her up to be very good in the damage department. I know if you look at the damage chart when I show it later on for the NP, it's going to look like she doesn't do any damage at all. You're going to be like, dude, for a single target, she's doing like AoE damage. But again, the point with Bazett is that while her damage is low, technically you can fire like 3 NPs a turn if you get some really good RNG and everybody attacks her and they're not like popping skills or doing some weird stuff. And this is really all facilitated because of her skills. Now, her second skill is pretty much the one that gets the NP online, because it's going to be giving her a very nice 50% special damage mod, really good star weight for 1 turn, and then a 100% crit damage buff for that turn as well. So the idea is that you pop this, get your NP, and then when you fire your NP on that turn, you're going to be doing insane crits as long as you've got the stars for it, and just absolutely obliterating your enemy all over the place. So it's really, really well designed. Again, very nice that she just has easy access to her NP. I almost feel like because of how her NP is a little bit more, I don't want to say gimmicky, but it is different, that maybe she could have been one of those servants that actually got a 100% battery, but who knows, maybe they'll implement that sometime in the future. They'll be like, whenever she does a counter hit or something, she gets like 20% NP back or something. Not that she really needs it, because she's pretty fine in all departments. Again, I think Bazett is really, really good, worth summoning for. but maybe they thought that'd be a little bit too broken, but this is just very nice. It gives her very, very high crit damage because combined with her first skill, she's going to have 130% crit damage for that turn. She's going to be sucking all the stars up for herself. I mean, her natural star absorption is already decent enough, but this is going to guarantee that she's pretty much going to get those stars. And all in all, it's just a very solid skill. Her third skill is pretty much her survivability skill, if you want to look at it that way. It's giving her evasion and debuff immunity for 1 turn, and then she's also going to drop 20 stars. So that way you can kind of immediately get started with some strong crits, refunding some NP. And it just also gives her a way to just not die if she's in a Scotty setup, because famously, the Scotty quick setups are not very good at keeping their people alive. The whole point of the Scotty system is really to just burn down your opponent in 3 turns, right? That's kind of when the 3-turn setups became really popular, because it was like, if you didn't beat your opponent in 3 turns, you would have no buffs, and you pretty much had no way to keep yourself around, and that's about the time they're going to be starting to fire their NPs and stuff. So at least Bazett has something in the back pocket to kind of keep herself alive, and to also deal with any annoying debuffs that the bosses might throw her way, whether it be like a stun, a charm, an NP seal, or something along those lines. Well, technically Bazett doesn't actually care about NP seals, and we'll actually talk about that right now. So I know this is a lot of gobbledygook to look at when you read her NP. It's like, dude, what is she doing? This is just a whole lot of nonsense. But don't worry, basically all this says is that at the end of the turn, Bazett is going to taunt herself when she fires the NP. She's going to gain this Fraggle Rock counter, and then every time that she's hit, she's going to clap back and hit that enemy. This cannot be stopped by NP seals, you cannot remove it, it's not stopped by buff block, it's pretty much going to go through. It is literally just a counter hit. The only bad thing about the Fraggle Rock counter is that it cannot break gauges. It's really, really annoying that you can't actually break the enemy's break bar with it, but that's kind of like a small price to pay for just being able to absolutely obliterate them with, like I've been saying, about like 3 NPs if you get really good. The other thing that might seem a little annoying for some players is that Bazett doesn't have any like defensive buffs or anything, so she's always going to be taking a lot of damage whenever she is taking all of these counter hits. So you might want to have some way to give her defense, or have another person that can heal her, because while you are going to be doing a lot of damage to your opponents, you're also going to be taking a lot of damage back. So just make sure you kind of balance those out and make sure you're not just getting utterly obliterated. But the nice thing too is that whenever she fires her NP, she's going to reduce their quick resistance by 10% for 3 turns. Now usually you want that to proc first so you can do extra damage on your NP, but because you fire the NP, it lowers their quick resistance. Then at the end of the turn, then you start doing damage when the enemy starts attacking you. It actually really doesn't matter. And if you can consistently start stacking this, you could start getting like 20-30% quick down on the opponent and really just start obliterating them. The extra 10 stars is nice, and then the extra 10 to 30% attack can also be really good because it allows her to triple buff herself against, say, casters, right? Because she'll be getting the special damage mod against them, the attack buff, and she'll also be getting the card buff as well. So that can also be really, really good for her and let her damage look significantly better. All in all, she's a very, very strong servant. I have a little like gripes here and there, but overall, I obviously think she is a very, very strong servant because I'm going to be going out of my way to summon for her. Now, obviously, I think the second Ascension and the third Ascension are absolute bangers, and I do think Bazett is pretty cute, but I'm definitely summoning because I think she's just really, really good. Her being cute is just a nice little extra caveat that she has going for her. Now, do I recommend like all players go out and summon for Bazett? Probably not. It's kind of like just box determinative. If you've got the extra Saint Quartz to spend or you really like Bazett, feel free to go out and summon for her. She can be a little bit wonky to use, especially if you don't have Scotty to do just like absolutely insane amounts of damage, because all the stuff I talked about with her having like quote-unquote maybe survivability issues can be kind of mitigated if you're just like throwing up a dodge, not taking any damage at all whatsoever, and then you just obliterate them with insane Scotty quick damage, and that can kind of just mitigate the entire issue. But yeah, I think she's really, really strong. Don't think she's like a must summon, but I definitely think she has some value of being in your Chaldea if you want to go ahead and summon for her. But let me know what you think in the comments down below, and I'll either catch you guys later on today for the summons for Bazett, or I'll catch you in the next video. Regardless, have yourself a nice day. Peace, late guys.